Ребята, привет. Всем привет. Меня зовут Елизавета. Ждем немного, чтобы собрались люди, и начнем наш сегодняшний вебинар. Всем привет, кто присоединился. Рада вас видеть. Пока не видеть, но видеть, что вы здесь. Hello, everyone, guys. The webinar will be in English. So, very welcome everyone who joined. We will be starting very, very shortly. Hello, everyone. I will start sharing my slides, I think. And in the meantime, I would love to hear from you, or where are you currently based? Because I know it will be for lots of people in completely different locations. So it will be cool to see. Will be cool to see where you are now. Hello, everyone. Really, really great to see you all. London, great. Also London, Tbilisi. Okay, sounds good. Moscow, Mexico. Wow, that's cool. Kazakhstan, UK, Nizhny Novgorod, lots of different places. Finland, Emirates. We will save this video and send everyone to the emails you've registered to this webinar. Munich, Istanbul, Krasnodar. Oh, hello from my hometown. Armenia, Moscow, Munich soon. That's very exciting. Very, very cool. Very international crowd. Armenia. Hi to everyone from that part of the world. UK, also great to have you all. Okay, awesome. Let me just come to the first slide of our presentation. I love to get to know you, because that way I can adjust my presentation a little bit to suit your needs even more. So you've been very kind sharing where you come from or where you are currently based. Tell me which industries you are from. That would be great for me to know, so that I can maybe give you a little bit more examples for your specific industry rather than giving you general advice. Industries. Poland. Hello, Poland. I've heard it's very cold in Poland. Manchester. Great. IT, marketing. Okay, great. IT. Love our IT tech guys. Sports, advertising and PR. Great. IT, quality assurance, motion design, logistics, economics, financial journalism, PR, business development, civil engineering, computer science, advertising, business development, project management, interesting, ecology, conservation, very cool industries. Will be cool to know where you're looking for a job. Data science, very popular, very in demand, and very much in shortage direction. Okay, what else? Poland, investment banking, also popular and quite hard to get in, but financially rewarding industry. Insurance. Marketing and food tech industry, Anastasia, that's great. Actually, I will be talking a lot about non-tech roles in tech today. So it's cool to see someone in a marketing function in the food tech industry. Anna, following EP for 4 years, digital marketing St. Petersburg, great. We love to have our community here. Investment fund, Java developing, real estate, wealth management. Really cool, really varied kind of spread in terms of industries, locations. It's very nice to have you guys here. Okay, so let's start with a little bit about EP advisory. I'm happy to see that some of you are following us for a long time. If you're completely new, we are an online career consulting company for expats that are looking for a job in the UK, Europe, and Emirates. We cover lots of different countries: UK, Germany, Netherlands, Scandinavia, Belgium, Poland, and we have consultants who specialize on countries and on industries. That's why I've asked you. So we have consultants in marketing, in IT. We also have consultants specializing on Germany, on Netherlands, etc. We work with experienced professionals as well as with students who are studying abroad and looking for their first job. We we really want to help expats find where they truly belong, considering that they are looking for a job outside of their home country. We were lucky enough to work with over 2,000 clients. We have really good success rate based on our reviews and our clients that we are in contact with, and you can see them in our podcasts and videos and stories of relocations. We have really large online community, and we are very proud that our clients are working at Meta, Facebook, Amazon, Carlsberg, etc., in really cool companies all around the world. I'm going to be presenting today. I'm the founder and CEO. I'm myself a creator of Stories of Relocation. It's a YouTube project where we actually film the stories of people who move to different countries, where they talk about all different things, starting from their journeys, what they struggle with, what they love, etc. I originally come from a HR background. I moved to London in 2008, quite a long time ago already. Then I did my bachelor's in human resource management. Then I worked for a recruitment agency, became a partner quite soon, and was there in almost 8 years. And since then, I'm the managing leader of VP Advisory, and I have an awesome team. We are spread across 15 countries, and it's a very cool bunch of people I get to work with every day. So what are we going to be covering today? We're going to talk a little bit about the opportunities that you have abroad, and I'm going to give you a little bit of statistics, our internal statistics and external statistics. We're going to talk about the chances for relocation, so who actually can relocate. If you haven't done so, I can see that a lot of you are already working and living abroad, so maybe I'll shorten that section. Then we're going to talk about first steps and what you need to do to secure a job abroad. We're going to talk about CV in English. I'm going to give you some examples. We, of course, going to talk about LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you some small but very important things about interview preparation. I'm going to give you some insider tips that I think you've never heard before. So, then I'm going to tell you mistakes to avoid, because we see them quite common, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. I like to do webinars in a very interactive way, so hopefully you are an interactive bunch of people who can talk to me through the chat, answer my questions. We can come up together with some answers, and kind of it will be a thought process for you too. And I would love to answer your questions. My rule is always I will stay until the very last question is answered. So you can ask me any questions after this webinar, and I would love to answer them specifically for your case. Sometimes it can take quite a while, so if you like to hear the answers to personal questions of other people, stay until the very end. In between of the presentation, I'll be showing you our hub. So if I will be switching from presentation to Notion, don't get worried. It's just I'm kind of showing you what you can do in our hub with real examples, so that you know how it all works, and I think you will find it quite helpful too. So I'll be switching between presentation and Notion. Okay, so and if you have any questions, I will try to answer them as I go, but sometimes when I'm looking at the presentation, I'm not looking at the chat, they can get lost. So just please keep them all if I haven't answered them until the very end, and in the end I will make sure I answer all the questions. And I have here Alona, and I have Alona here as an assistant. She will be helping me with questions that might get lost. So I will make sure I answer them all. So employment opportunities. I'm sure you all know there is a very, very big shortage of talent in the world. A lot of companies, I know with the recent news from Meta and high growth, hyper growth startups, there's quite a lot of cuts, but overall there are a lot of industries and a lot of companies that are still hiring, and there's a lot of vacancies. So you will see the stats are 4 million open jobs in Europe, and in the whole of Europe, so that is all countries, and 422k jobs in the UK. Why I made this stat for you available, not just to show you all the jobs that are open, but that a large, almost half, almost not half, 400k. So in a proportion, small UK, and a lot of those jobs are actually in London versus all the countries that are in European Union. You can see how large the London job market is. So that is absolutely true. The biggest job market in terms of opportunities, in terms of companies, will always be in the UK, and then come Germany, Netherlands, Scandinavia, etc. But they're still incompatible. So the market is very big in the UK. Having said that, Germany, specifically Berlin and Amsterdam and Scandinavian capitals, are growing really, really fast in terms of the tech hub specifically. So there's now a lot of jobs there as well for you to explore. Like I said, when we were talking about marketing in a tech role, the growth of non-tech and creative jobs in the tech sector has been absolutely tremendous. What that means to you, even if you are an accountant, even if you are a legal professional, even if you are not a video game developer or product designer that is close to tech, but something HR, you can still consider a tech sector as your employer. We had quite a few clients that would look at, you don't think, it would still, we would have clients, let's say in marketing function, that will look for traditional jobs, let's say working for FMCG or for agencies. And they, for example, never considered insurance tech. And there are so many opportunities in the tech sector, and there is so many sub-industries in the tech sector: med tech, HR tech, legal tech, etc., etc. So if you are coming from more of a traditional industry and traditional function, as per se, don't be worried or scared to look at the tech roles within your function, just to make sure you have those skills. So I think it's a very important thing to know, because that influences the way you look for jobs. Because some startups, they don't advertise on general boards. You need to know specific boards where startups advertise. I will show you later on. So just keep that in mind. In terms of the stat, it's 36% of jobs in digital economy are actually non-tech occupations, and it is sales, it is people, it is product. Product is a huge market at the moment. We actually see a lot of people transitioning to product management too, from e-commerce, from sales, from marketing, etc. So if that's something that you're considering, also check those roles. From project management, you can also go there. You just need to know methodology usually, and study a little bit and get some certificates. In terms of the overview of the industries, this is the screenshot. You can see 2,691 response. It's actually our clients and people we work with. So this is the general kind of proportion of all the industries we cover as EP Advisory and people who find jobs abroad. This is not all. You can see it's still 3%, and there will be some 1%, etc. But this is kind of the biggest chunk. So of course, IT, engineering, project management, product management, DevOps, information, cybersecurity, data science, and all that stuff. It is the biggest chunk, just because tech sector experiencing a very large shortage of tech specialist, IT tech and engineering specialist. Here is actually included also more like an engineering role. So let's say you go work for an automotive company and you create like a rival. They create driverless cars and Formula One cars without the driver. So you'll be working on technology, but more with engineering, with cars and all that stuff. So this is something also quite popular. Then a second big chunk of people we work with is actually marketing, communications, PR, product marketing, and event management, etc. And this is probably the most interesting industry for us to see, because usually, that's my next slide, we would say you need about 5 years to relocate to a new country, in your home country, to relocate to a new country. If you change a job within your own country, I would say 3 years in one job is okay. So what I see, which is really interesting, is that people in marketing, communications, digital PR, performance marketing, SEO, etc., they actually have chances of relocating even when they have 2 years of experience. Or I think the smallest number of years we had was 1.5, which was really crazy for us. I mean, we worked with so many people, and we've seen so many people relocating and changing countries. And usually, you need to be at least above kind of the beginning of your career. But actually, we've seen cases with visa support for people who don't have so many years of experience, and it's great to see. It just shows that it's not only engineering and tech, marketing, communications, and PR and product marketing is very popular field at the moment. Then we have quite a big chunk of graphic design, UX, UI, actually motion design as well. Again, usually within the tech. We had several clients who found job in kind of agencies or filmmaking and all that stuff. But usually I would say UX, UI, motion design, graphic design, and all that stuff, it's kind of within tech. And then we have the more traditional finance and banking and investment banking, accounting and all that stuff. So consulting would be here too. We have a little bit in terms of art, fashion, and everything related to fashion, because there's also tech e-commerce companies. There is more kind of niche fashion brands. Then consulting, risk management, due diligence, business intelligence, compliance, of course, big 3, big 4, everything under them. And also actually recruitment and HR. So there's a big shortage of resourcing, recruitment, people who can actually build teams, grow teams rather fast, even though with the recent news, it's probably not so good to go hyper fast, but it's also quite a big chunk of our kind of expertise and people that come to us. Olga, for project management in the UK, is it obligatory to have a PM certificate? Usually, yes, I would say. I think it's better to have it than not to have it. And I will explain in the next slide why. So what helps landing a job abroad? We usually say 5 to 10 years is ideal because you've achieved something, and an employer will be much more likely to provide you with a visa because they already see value in you. But as I said, there are exceptions. It could be people with actually 2 years of experience that relocate, but it's only a small proportion. 0-2 years works too if you're studying abroad. So if, let's say, you figured out, we had cases like this when a person says, look, I have no chance of relocating, what can I do? You can study. Studying in the UK is expensive, but in Germany it's almost free. You can find loads of different grants and scholarship to support you in your studies. I, unfortunately, when I was studying, didn't know about them, but I think every person who now tries to study abroad, they kind of know about scholarships. And I'm not talking about evening where you have to come back and do 2 years in your home country. I'm talking about actual university-based grants and scholarships which you can get. So if you cannot relocate right now because of or find a job because of your occupation, you can always do studying. Or if you moved already abroad and you cannot find a job without local experience, studying is also one of the options. You can do masters for 1 year. When it comes to 15 plus years, what we see sometimes it could be problematic, because in some countries you would have quite a high living standard already, quite a high salary, and quite low income tax. So when moving to Scandinavia with 50% tax, or Germany, or even the UK with 40, you will feel quite a big drop in terms of your level. And if you're coming with kids and with family, with a partner, it could be quite difficult. So we usually talk about it with our senior clients, asking them, what are your standards? Where are you flexible? Because sometimes there is a mismatch actually between the salary that they're getting with current income tax and the salary they will be getting in Europe or in the UK. So that is, of course, in Emirates, different story. So that's sometimes why this is kind of a stepping stone, and then you can do it quite easily. After Emirates, you can quite easily move to Europe. When it comes to who has the highest chance, we say when it comes to your work experience, and this is the number one most important part of everything that you do. So your CV, your LinkedIn, your interviews, everywhere where you interact with your employer, the thing that they are mostly interested in is your experience. So when they check your experience, obviously the person who has the highest chance is usually someone who works for international companies. Let's say you worked for a well-known international company in your country, based there. Option 2 is working remote for an international company from your home country. We had a ex-employee, she's based in Khabarovsk, really far away, and she has a whole portfolio of UK-based companies who she works for, and I think there's no problem in terms of searching for remote roles, especially now. It could be a little bit difficult if you're based in Russia because of the restrictions and payments, but if you're based outside of Russia and you have a bank account and you have no problem actually receiving money, so this could be a really great opportunity for you to kind of build that portfolio. And another thing that is good in terms of experience is local companies that are recognized abroad. So Mekpor in Ukraine, Yandex in Russia, PandaDoc in Belarus. So these companies are actually known abroad, and whoever you speak with, they will kind of, even though it's a local company, they will be quite familiar with the quality of people that work there, with standards. And why it is important, it is actually because talking about certificates, it's actually because of so-called reference points. I always ask our clients, and when we train the consultants, we always say try to put the head of the employer on. So try to think as in you are actually recruiting for your company. And if someone comes with local experience from, let's say, Kazakhstan, for a company that is not known for this recruiter or this employer, it doesn't matter how hard you like the person, it will be hard for you to connect with that experience because you have no reference points. If it's an international company, it is very easy to say, okay, they work with the same standards no matter if it's in Georgia, in Kazakhstan, or in Emirates, or in Germany, more or less. If it's a very known other tech startup, is also understandable. If you have internationally recognized certificates, they'll be like, oh, okay, so you studied project management, you have Prince 2, for example, or you have something CIPD, you have any other certificate that is actually internationally recognized in your industry, there's another reference point. They will say, okay, we know this certificate, and if you studied and passed it, and I'm not talking about small certificates that you get on LinkedIn or anywhere else, like local companies that provide you with certificates. We are talking about big certificates that takes years sometimes to achieve and to get. So this is what I'm talking about. Then in terms of reference points, it's actually your skills with industry-specific software. What that means, if you are in marketing and you do email marketing and you're very familiar with MailChimp, not with your local software that is known in your local market, but actually with MailChimp that is internationally used worldwide, and the company where you're interviewing is actually using it too, it's another reference point. Salesforce, QuickBooks, anything. So it is important to understand, if you are not in a position to relocate now, think of how you can acquire this experience, how you can work for international companies remotely, how you can start getting familiar with international systems, how you can think about maybe international projects that you work on, international stakeholders that you communicate with. We very often, when we write CV, we actually add liaising with offices in France, Germany, Netherlands, working on projects together with this and this cross-functional, cross-cultural team. So you have a lot of reference points when you say, actually, I am not based in my local home country. I interact a lot with the outside world. I know the standards, I know the business etiquette, I know how the business is done internationally. I actually know a lot of software, I have certificates, etc. So then it becomes easier for the other side to understand you. And this is very important when it comes to looking for a job abroad or in a country you just relocated to. So keep that in mind. And of course, English. I know it's the most basic thing that I can tell you. You have to kind of you have to know, why is it English? Sometimes, unfortunately, we get clients who come on our 15 minutes free calls, and they start talking in English, and the English is not good. And the problem is, when your English is not good enough to just talk, so if you can hold a conversation in English without thinking every 5 seconds about the word, constructing the sentences, etc., then you're good to go. If you're good to have a conversation about your experience with professional terms you can use, etc., you're good to go. You don't have to have advanced, crazy academic English. No, but you have to be able to pass all stages of interview. That is writing emails, writing documents, preparing presentation and case studies, that is interviewing by phone. I'm sure you know, my very first job in London in 2008 was in a shoe shop when I was studying. And I can tell you, the hardest thing for me was to actually answer the call. So whenever someone would call to this shoe shop and try to say something in English, when you have zero practice and you just moved to the UK, to London, you think like you cannot understand anything. So if your English is not good enough and recruiter calls you out of the blue, you're not prepared, you just got a call on your mobile, you will be so nervous and you will the interview simply because of the language, not because you're not capable of replying to questions, but simply because of your language. So in 4 hours a day, I was studying when I was moving, and lots of our clients too. Make sure your English is good. Make sure you can actually hold a conversation, write things. Then you're good to go, because then you can actually focus on creating good documents, answering questions well, etc., and not about English, because you will be nervous. It's normal. You're nervous during the interview. During every interview, you're nervous. But if you're nervous about the language and the question, then you have a problem. Okay, so job search abroad, where to start? We say that in order to get the job in a different country where you haven't worked before, or where you've just relocated, or somewhere where you are not familiar with, you have to know the rules. You have to play by the rules. So strategy number 1, sit down, write down everything that you've done, write down all of your achievements, think of everything you've done, all your projects, all the international things, everything. That is great. But that is completely detached from the reality of the job process. So let me show you very quickly how we are talking about it in our Career Hub. So this is our Career Hub. It's based on Notion. And you can see there are all the different sections. So number one, the first section is do your research. And this is really, really, really important when you're writing the CV, because this will make it or break it for you. So instead of just writing everything about you, your job is to go on LinkedIn, go onto any job board, and try to compile as many jobs as possible where you feel that your responsibilities match what you're doing. Why you need to do that? Because you first of all need to find the right job titles. Why you need to do that? Because in Russian, there is a lot of job titles that have nothing to do with how it is called in English. So, senior expert, leading specialist, no one is called like this in the English-speaking world. So your job titles should be senior financial analyst, a senior accountant, head of engineering, junior illustrator, marketing intern, financial analyst, etc. So you need to do the research to say, oh, actually, this job description is exactly what I'm doing. So I'm not chief specialist, I'm not head of business, I am actually finding the right job title so that the other side can understand who I am. Then you need to know the seniority level. You know that not every job in English, did you know that executive, very often for a lot of roles, sales, marketing, project management, as well business development, is actually the lowest role. So you have an intern and then you have executive. So sales executive is not a senior role, it's the most junior role. So if you don't know that, you'll be struggling. And if you write senior sales executive in your CV, well, actually you are head of sales or sales director, you will have a problem. So find out the hierarchy. Then look at responsibilities. I'm literally asking you to copy paste responsibilities from job descriptions, like make a list, make a big list from 5-10 different job descriptions and see what is applicable to you. Don't copy paste them as it is and insert it in your CV or LinkedIn profile, but at least try to speak the language of the person who will be reviewing your CV and interviewing you. So see, okay, that I've done, that I haven't done, that I've also done, that I haven't done. So go through each of those things and actually see, okay, that is my background and that is my responsibility. So that way you will be able to speak the language and actually get through the initial stages. Because if you speak completely different languages, as in you both speak English, but what's written in your CV, the other side doesn't understand at all, you will have a problem. So the first is always do your research. Second, and do your research not just about CV and your profile, but this research helps you to talk about your achievements, to talk about your skills and everything that is then required during the interview process. So this research part is extremely important for the success of your job search. Then obviously you need to, we call it, write kind of a master CV and cover letter in English. When I say master, what I mean is there are some rules when writing a CV in English. So for example, you shouldn't have more than 7 bullet points. But for some jobs, you've done a lot. And let's say you have 12 bullet points. Then you can say, this is my master version. I'm going to write as much as possible there. But then for each job, I'm going to cut and move some responsibilities within the jobs so that it's actually okay for you to send. So this master CV is the most information you can have, and cover letter with lots of different examples, and then you can amend it for each job. And guys, amending the CV for the job you apply for is one of the most crucial steps in the initial selection process. You know that number one thing that the person will be looking at is your CV. So unfortunately, in our current world, you cannot bypass this stage. So number one is the CV. If you write the document that is not speaking the language of recruiter, and that is not correct in terms of the job titles and is not matching the job description that you're applying for, you will be in trouble. Give you an example. We had a client, and his wife came to me, and he said, look, like, she's a great girl, beautiful experience, cannot find a job. She's applying and cannot get a job. Marketing. Okay. We looked at the CV. Her CV, as far as I remember, was saying something like e-commerce community manager or something like that. And I was like, okay, and which roles are you applying to? She said, I'm applying usually for marketing manager, digital marketing manager, social media manager. I said, do you know that community manager and marketing manager are two different job titles? And if a person is looking at your profile and sees community manager when you apply for marketing manager, even though in your community management role you did a lot of marketing, they will disregard your CV. And she was like, no way. And we just literally worked on the CV for maybe half an hour, just changing the job titles that match the job description and moving some responsibilities. And she got a job, I think, in 2 weeks. As far as I know, she's still working at Spotify. So this little tiny twist that you just add there can make it or break it for you. So always make sure you have the master, but always adapt. Obviously, you need to have LinkedIn, guys. I know some people say, oh, etc. It's not good, it's difficult. I would say definitely LinkedIn. LinkedIn is number one tool in the job search, and I will tell you why in today's section about LinkedIn. But it's not just a profile, it's an extremely powerful tool that you can use. So definitely do that and update it and use it very actively. You need to also use different channels. Give me, from your experience, what do you do when looking for a job? Do you go on the general boards? Do you use a specific secret ways of finding a job? Where are you looking for companies and jobs? Tell me. Maria, in the meantime, I will answer your questions in Russian. Is it appropriate to highlight your position about the war, or should it not be discussed? You are more than welcome to highlight your position about the war. Absolutely, for sure. So I don't see any problem doing that. And I would highlight your position too, my position too. LinkedIn, brilliant. If I change my job titles in the CV, how can I later explain that they are not matching my written job references? You need to know that in the European Western world, we don't have anything like set in stone. So I can give you a very easy answer. Someone who started working as a sales manager in 3 years might get involved into project management or product management or anything else for that matter, but the contract will not be renewed. And in the contract, there would be increase to salary or anything like that, but the job title and responsibilities, just because the company's policy is like this and they are too lazy to change it, for example, will stay as an old job title. And there is no problem. It's not lying. If you are doing it and you can prove it with examples and projects you worked on, there's no problem if your job title is different to actually what you're doing now. So you can very easily explain that. That is not a problem. LinkedIn, LinkedIn company's website, Googling boards and Telegram channel, LinkedIn and company site, job leads, Glassdoor, Indeed, LinkedIn mostly, LinkedIn, Read, Indeed. Great, you're doing really great. So LinkedIn, direct websites of potential employers, just like you said, networking referrals, that is also LinkedIn. And then specialized career websites. Obviously, you know that I'm applying on LinkedIn openings, but always not passing screening, even though my experience completely matches the job description. That cannot be. Then something is wrong with your profile. Unfortunately, Sarah, I would love to tell you something else, but then if you're not passing, that means something is missing. I think yesterday or day before yesterday, we got a message. Our career consultant Sasha Samodova got a really lovely message saying, guys, I just want to say thank you. A client is working on a package with us, and he said, I usually get job invites or interview invites only through my contacts and through someone else, and like it's in a weird way job interviews come to me, and it is the first time when I actually applied for a job like you told me, adapted my CV with the CV that we made for him, and the whatever applicant tracking system read my CV and invited me for an interview. Like he said, thank you for the science, because it works. Because if you're doing it correctly, it actually works. But yeah, I just hope you can have another set of eyes. You can come to us. You can come to anyone else to actually see what is going wrong. When it comes to specialized career websites in our hub, we have lots of different ones for company boards, country boards, but also like tech boards like OTA. A lot of companies now don't want to just go to general boards like LinkedIn and Indeed. I personally don't like so much. I think I prefer LinkedIn, and I prefer Glassdoor if you're talking about kind of more general boards. And then there are specialized ones. So a lot of tech companies actually would go to, I don't know, Berlin startup jobs, because it will be much more narrow the number of candidates that they get. I'm sure you've seen LinkedIn job posts, 500 applications, and you're like, oh wow, I never gonna get this job. There are so many people who applied. It is completely wrong. I want you to understand once and for all, and I'm telling that to you as a recruiter who's seen thousands of CVs, thousands of applications. Usually, if you get in a day 150 applications for a job, let's say advertised on Reed or Indeed, as a recruiter, 150 applications. How many do you think are actual good candidates you want to talk to? From 150 applications that applied in that day, I, as a recruiter, how many people will I call to invite? What do you think? Knowing that there is 500 applicants that applied in the past week. So from 150, how many people you think actually are matching the job? 10, Maria. Okay, 5, 7, 3. Lydia, 5. Yes, unfortunately, it will be 5, or in some cases 3, or even 1. Why? Because what happens? A general job board, you get a notification on your email that there is a new job posted that matches your request. You literally spend 3 seconds reading it, send the CV that was already there, and you don't read anything. So you don't read anything, you don't know anything about the job. You just do it manually really quickly. That's it. And then you think, why this person applied? Like, they have nothing to do with this job. So my number one take home about job applications: never look at the number. If you think you're suitable, apply, not even thinking about it for 1 second. You have to apply to the job if you think you're suitable, no matter how many interviews or applicants are there. Mega important. I would say very important thing is to stay organized and track your applications. I'm gonna again go back to my beautiful Notion hub, because there we have job search tracker. Why we did it? Because this is very easy. So Notion you can use on the phone, you can use it on computer as an app, you can use it in the browser. As soon as you apply somewhere, you will have here name of the company, role with a link, your status, so you can change the status from phone interview to second interview, etc. And you can also add here your CV, so the tailored CV you send to this specific company. You can add cover letter, you can get a date of next stage. We also have kind of to-dos. Let's say you've been to an interview, you talk about the book, and the person asks you to send you the book, so you don't forget. You add here a task that is linked here. And you can also say, okay, I've applied then, and my process took 1 year almost. So why it is important? You got a call. quickly got a call from recruiter, you have no idea what you send them, you have no idea what the job description is, and you need to know the job description because they will be asking you about it. So you usually have to kind of copy paste the information here, and you just open your Notion, and on the call you can very easily answer the questions about the interview, about the job, about the lots of different things. You can check your CV because this is also very important. And you know, if you change some things, they'll be like, oh, okay, so that's what you're talking about, etc. So being on top means that you are never in a situation where you have no clue who called you and with this job about, because maybe you've done it a long time ago. Olga, you can track your applications that you've done via LinkedIn, but you need to know that there is only applications you've done via LinkedIn. If you went to other sites, if you've done it via career websites of the companies, etc., you will not be able to track them on LinkedIn. So that's why we've created a tracker in our hub so that you can actually track those applications. What is also important, we had it, and sometimes a client, we do interview training, we prepare them really well, but then they go to an interview and there's a question that completely got them nervous and they couldn't answer it. So as soon as you leave the room, as soon as you leave the building, you go into your Notion and you put into the notes, I couldn't answer this question, and you will not forget it. You will actually come back to it and train yourself for it and look for answers and everything. Yeah, Alina, Notion is our career hub that we launched. You can definitely buy access to it. So it's everything we know about looking for a job abroad, and every information, every template, everything that we've collected in the past 4 years. So of course you can buy it. So staying on top of your applications, kind of getting better every time you come out of this interview, because it's important. Of course, there will be rejections. Don't think that you will, even with the biggest preparation, you will straight away get job offer. I would say minimum time frame is about 3 months. That's the average for our clients to get first job offers. But for some clients in specific industries, it takes longer. It could be 6 months, it could be a year. It also depends how much time you're willing to put in. If you're doing one application a week, of course, you're not going to get results in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. So think of that. You can also ask for feedback. For a lot of people, for some reason, it's very unusual to ask your interviewers for feedback, but you'll be surprised how many will be willing to give you feedback. And that is your very good learning point. So don't be afraid to say, you know, guys, thank you. Just today, we are currently recruiting. We have several open roles for career consultants and CV writers. And there was an assignment that the person had to do within the recruitment process, and they didn't do well. So I've sent an email saying, I'm so sorry, after careful consideration, we will not be proceeding with you further. Let me know if you're interested in more detailed feedback. And of course, I'll keep the CV for further detail, further roles, etc. And she came back and said, I would like to hear more. And I would be very happy to provide her with feedback, because I know she will learn from it, and she will actually, do it good. Okay. Then as soon as you get the job offer, negotiate. Negotiate your job offers. It's mega important, even if it's relocation. On average, we have roughly around 30% increase for our clients if you negotiate. So please negotiate. Don't say yes to the first offer. And negotiating doesn't always mean financial. So if someone is, let's say, someone offered you 60K, maybe they will not raise the offer in terms of your basic salary simply because it's in the band and corporate and budget and all that stuff. But there's lots of perks. Maybe you get a signing bonus. Maybe you get a relocation bonus of 10K. Maybe you will get a special flexible working hours that you didn't get originally. Think of what is important to you and try to negotiate it and get something from the employer on top of what they're offering. First offer is never final. Know that's the rule of the game. Always negotiate, and always, obviously, in the most polite and nicest manner. In our hub, we also have templates for written kind of negotiating offer templates by email. It could be done by phone as well. It's a little bit more stressful, but it's also okay. So please don't forget to negotiate, accept, and then start a new job. So that's usually how it works. My favorite question: how much time do recruiters spend on initial CV screening? When I talk about initial CV screening, what I mean, when you get 150 applications a day, a person opens the CV. He has to open, or she has to open every of those 150 CVs, unfortunately. So if it's 5 jobs, it's 500 CVs a day. So how long is the person looking at the CV to decide if they will continue reading it or it's not suitable and they will close it? How long? Is it normal to try applying the similar roles at the company after repeating rejections? It can be okay. It depends on the company's policy. So, for example, if a company has a policy, you can only apply for 3 roles within 6 months, you have to comply with it. Some companies are encouraging you to apply to as many jobs as you want. 7 seconds, 2 minutes max, 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 15 seconds. Tatiana, you are right. It's 7.4 seconds. Minutes, never. 30 seconds is even long. Think about it. If you have to go through 200 CVs on top of your other duties, because you are not doing just that the whole day, all the time, you actually have a lot of time spent just on that. So that's why this initial screening of the CV is extremely important for you to match it. So coming back to the question that you're not getting job interviews, most likely in this 7.4 seconds, something is not working. They cannot read your CV, they cannot understand that you're suitable, etc. So very important to know. There was a study where they put cameras on recruiters' eyes, and they actually studied where recruiters are looking at. So they wanted to see which sections of the CV recruiters are looking at. How much percentage we should increase salary during negotiations? Usually it's 20-30%, I would say. Which countries are willing to sponsor visas and relocations? Any country, if you are suitable for them in terms of your background. So it depends on the company more than the country. So CV, looking at the CV, 7.4 seconds. Where they're looking at? There is 6 main data points in your CV. Obviously, it's the name. Then you have current job title and company, previous job title and company. So 7 seconds, job title, company, then dates of your previous job, current position dates, and then education. When they talk about current job title and company, of course, they mean screening through responsibilities as well, very quickly. So your number one most important part of your CV is your experience section. It's not education. No one really cares about your education. I'm sorry to say that. If you did economics and now you're working as a product marketing manager, no one cares that you did economics and it doesn't match. The only thing they care about is that your experience is matching what they're looking for. Education is important as in it exists. So actually include it, but don't go too much into detail. Don't pay attention to it too much and don't put it in the front. The only reason why you should put it in the front is when you move to a new country and studied there, just to show that you are already in a different country, even though your experience kind of finished. So this is a very important thing. This is our template, how we are advising our clients to do the CVs. In our hub, you have it in Word and in Google Doc. You can download it. When it comes to studying the eyes of recruiters, they figured out that the easiest design of the CV is when it's extremely simple and when they call it F shape or E shape. So you can see that there is a section that is highlighted in bold and then there is something under it. There is section, there is something under it. Section, something under it. So my eye is not moving around in loads of different directions, and it's actually focusing on the sections, and I can easily find information. So if I'm looking for company name and job title, like I said previously in the study, I will find them because they're very clearly written here. If I'm looking at job responsibilities, I will find them because they are the bullet points there. And it is neat, it's not different colors. Sometimes even the layout and design can be the reason why people don't invite you, simply because they cannot find the information they need in 7.4 seconds. And this is very important. So this is the layout and what you need to remember. Work experience is the king, 50% of the first page. If it would be a CV webinar, I would show you loads of different designs of the CV, and we would talk to you why the CV doesn't work, because sometimes the experience starts on the third page, and in the beginning is a big profile section, education, all that stuff. No, experience, 50% of the first page. You can have, like I showed you previously, profile section and key competencies, but experience have to be kind of the main part. 1 to 3 pages in length. Here it depends on the number of years of experience and your industry. Investment banking, wealth management, consulting, 1 page. All the other industries, 2 pages are okay. If you are extremely experienced, 15 plus years, and you feel like all of this experience is mega relevant, then it could be 3 pages. But we would really ask you to stick to 2 pages. And if, let's say, you have 1.5, then try making it 1. F pattern, E pattern, like I said, 10.5 PT font size, and readable fonts. Again, not so many different things there. This is bold, this is pink, this is red, too big, too small. Too small is also not comfortable to read. And maximum 5 to 7 bullet points per job. This is very important. Include all dates, names, and locations. This is something maybe not super obvious. Anatoly, I will come back to you about AI because I have a lot to say about it. All dates, names, and locations are important because this raises questions. So let's say you worked somewhere where you don't want to show the country you worked in, but you have to, because this is the question that will be raised in a person's head when they are reading your CV. So it is definitely better to include all the dates and cities and countries and company names than to skip some things in order to look better, because the recruiter will still actually find out, or they will either have no mood asking you, or they will ask you. Consistency, make sure everything is done really well. Always name your CV as name, surname, CV. Don't put Елизавета Проселкова for marketing, Елизавета Проселкова for PwC, Елизавета Проселкова CV version 3.5. Just the name and the CV. If you're adopting the CV, have a system in your files where it's actually different companies, let's say. Yeah, so that's how it works. File format, only PDF. Why? Because you don't know how recruiter will be reading your CV. Will they be doing it on the way to work on their phone? Will they be doing it on a computer? You don't know. So please always save it in PDF and always send it in PDF only. So very important. Talking about AI. So who said it? Anatoly. I want to see if you asked anything else. Okay, so you say, however, many CVs stored and rejected by software, I mean by AI, and recruiters are reading 10 CVs but not 500. Wrong. And I will explain to you why. Applicant tracking systems, they exist. Lots of companies are using them. That is 100% true. But the level of AI in this matter is so limited and so bad that no company is leaving it is to AI to decide if the person is suitable or not. So yes, applicant tracking systems do initial pre-screening. What that includes, they can check if you have a correct number of years of experience. If the company doesn't sponsor visa, they can check if you have eligibility to work. They can check your job title. They can check something extremely simple. I can give you an insider information. Some companies, for example, when they're screening LinkedIn profiles with technology, they actually look for females in tech, for example. So if you're in your LinkedIn profile, you can choose pronouns, so he, she, or they. So you actually can, by choosing she, her, you can actually be picked up by AI. So it's actually very, very important for you to know that still people do that, and I can prove it. We've spoken with Uber, we've spoken with Microsoft, we've spoken with Amazon, we've spoken with Samsara, we've spoken with Google, we've spoken with loads and loads of recruiters working for those companies who say, we use it, but it is extremely little. So most of the work is still done by humans. So please don't rely on ATS and screening and AI. Think that a human will be reading your CV, because this is very, very, very important. Whoever reads your CV needs to understand that you're suitable for the job. $1 million question. Apart from applicant tracking systems, who is reading your CV? What do you think? When you apply for a job, which professions, like people from which backgrounds, are going to be reading your CV? What do you think? Igor, is it a problem if I have only one current job and no previous in CV, but there are 10 years of experience? 100% a problem. That big gap is way too big. And the person will be like, what is this person doing? So better put just job titles, at least explain this gap, because it will be very, very important. Why CV needs to be PDF? If it's in Word, if I open it on my mobile, when I received it by email, it will not be in the right formatting. So it will be all messed up and not good. PDF is the only format that will hold the design and the layout of the CV untouched, no matter which device you open it on. So that's why you need to have it in PDF. HR, junior HR. Okay, who else? Who else is reading your CV that you amended for a specific job? Not only HR and junior HR. Who else can it be? Recruiter, it can be, for sure, right? So you're talking about HRs. HR and recruiter are two different things. So it could be an administrator. It could in the HR department. It could be a recruiter, resourcer, hiring manager. Exactly, your manager. About the manager, if it's a little bit bigger company, the chances that your manager will be screening those 100 CVs first. Of course, not all jobs have 150 applications. There could be 50 or 30, but most likely hiring managers get the pre-filtered CV by someone else. But in some companies, it could be a hiring manager. Okay, so your manager, HR, direct manager, yes. Okay, and let's consider a startup where there is maybe 20 people and a CEO is very much involved in the process. And he wants to see the first, let's say he's the type of guy that wants to see the CVs, but he obviously doesn't have the time. Who will be looking at the CVs then? Growing startup just raised 1 million. CEO is very involved in hiring process. They don't have HR, they don't have recruiter. Who will be in this instance looking at your or a wealth management firm, VC fund with 10 people, not super big, and they don't have an HR person. Receptionist, CEO assistant, exactly. It could be literally anyone. It could be CEO will say, look, assistant, I have this much pile of CVs, look through them, let me know who's suitable. Do you understand the risk that you are having if you haven't made it extremely clear that you're suitable for the job? I think the most common thing that clients tell us is, oh, come on, it's so obvious. As a CFO, I do this and this. it's not. For a CEO assistant, it is not very clear that CFO is doing this, this, and this. So that's why when you apply for the job, imagine there is a person young who has no clue about your industry, who just printed out or have on screen a job description, and he or she is comparing it with your CV. So that is the worst case scenario for you, but make your CV for this worst case scenario, and then you have no problem. So make sure your CV for a person who absolutely has no clue about your job actually will say, oh, they are suitable. And that is by job titles, responsibilities, software you use, programs, loads of different things. So moving on. LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I would say, is the most important number one tool to use for job search. Obviously, LinkedIn is a job search platform when you can type in the keywords and you will get the jobs. What else can you use LinkedIn for? What do you use LinkedIn for? Is it normal to change the specification from marketing to administrator because in a new country you need to find a job faster? How much more difficult is it to return to previous sphere? Lena, I would not recommend it. I would say if you have marketing experience, stick to finding a job in marketing. Go down 2 levels from what you had before, but do not change to administrator, because in a lot of countries, if you start on the path, administrator is a personal assistant, office manager, administrative operations path. You are leaving completely marketing, and then you will have a problem because it will be very difficult for you to come back. So between a little bit more paid administrative role versus, let's say, a marketing intern, I would always recommend going for an intern within your field so that you don't lose your specification, because this is your career path. As soon as you change, it will be harder for you to come back. Do you need to adjust all the all of the job responsibilities or the latest job? I would say 2 most recent roles, job titles, responsibilities, and you can change a little bit your profile section, etc. But of course, if your third job from the top is completely irrelevant, then maybe think of what to do with it too. So people in the UK use it as a professional Instagram, 100%, yes. Professional networking, posting, networking, all that stuff, great. Build networking, write directly to HR, secretariat, that's great. So you see LinkedIn, I call it a contact book of any human in the world. You can literally message famous Elon, I think his name is correctly pronounced, Musk, if you want to. Like, you can actually have access to pretty much anyone in the world at any level in any company. So exactly, Tanya, useful information about everything, courses, etc. So it's your virtual bio. LinkedIn is the most indexed page for your name. So if you put your name in English into Google, if you have LinkedIn profile with the same name, your profile will come first. So it is your virtual bio that is extremely accessible to everyone. So make sure you have it. You can have contact with people, you can see where they're going, you can understand what's happening in the industry, you can get endorsement recommendations. So instead of just static CV, your LinkedIn profile has a little bit more substance to it. You can learn a lot from LinkedIn. For example, you are aiming to get into consulting, and you think with your background it's possible. And then you actually start going into LinkedIn profiles of people where you want to be. So let's say you want to be a consultant at BCG. You actually go and find profiles of people and understand that 90% of those people come from this and this and this background, or this and this company. And you can go back to their career traction and say, oh, okay, so he worked there and then there and then there, and that's how he got to BCG. So you can actually do the same, or at least find a way, because your path might not be very direct. Your path might not be going straight to BCG. Maybe your better chance will be to start with another company that is a little bit different than BCG, and then you go, make your way up. So it's a beautiful data source for all sorts of things. If you're going on an interview, go to LinkedIn profile of your interviewer, try to find out where he studied, what he did or she did, where they come from. Maybe you find something common. So it's a data source, extremely great one. Is it a good idea to have detailed job description on LinkedIn? Yes, 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 because it's your keywords and your profile will be ranked and your profile will be found. This is very important. So LinkedIn, awesome tool, loads of hidden job opportunities. If you build your network, you will be able to actually find a lot of hidden jobs. So someone, if you connected with, they can put on their newsfeed, hi, I'm looking for this and this person. And you will not find this on LinkedIn as a platform. You will not find it on any other job boards. So the more relevant connections you have, the more you see that is happening with the job. What do companies use LinkedIn for? Obviously, reputation building, company updates, posts, business development and sales, headhunting, job advertising. Headhunting, what is headhunting? So a company can passively post a job online. Going back a few steps, the usual process for hiring of the company, we spoke to a lot of different companies in tech and fashion, FMCG and consulting. They say most of the times, number one step when they're looking for someone, when the job becomes open, is look through internal network or referrals. So they will either ask their friends, family, colleagues, if there's anyone they know that they could be suitable. That comes obviously referral programs, when they get paid if they refer a suitable candidate, etc. If no one is found through referrals, then it's job advertising and headhunting. Usually it happens at the same time. So a company publishes a job online, and the people, internal recruiters or external recruitment agency they work with, go and headhunt. What is headhunting? It's the sweetest thing ever. You are sitting there doing nothing, and you get a message on LinkedIn, hey, we have this great job, are you interested? Best use of resources. Don't have to do anything. The job comes to you by itself. Great. How can you make it happen for you? So when recruiters and recruitment agencies are looking for people on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the biggest database of people where you can find suitable candidates, why they're doing that? Because instead of going through 150 applications that are irrelevant, and obviously applications are by people who are actively looking, they want to approach people who are not maybe actively looking, but they could be suitable. So they go and do headhunting. There are two ways on LinkedIn. You can either, like you are looking for a job, they can look for people. So in the search bar, type in the details, etc. Or they can use the software, which is Recruiter Lite or Recruiter. A lot of companies use the software. It's not cheap. I think it's about £5,000 a year or 6,000 euros, something like this. But it's very powerful tool. So a lot of companies invest this into headhunting the right candidates. And now I'm going to tell you the biggest secret of how it all works from the inside. Obviously, first of all, when you look at the company, and let's say they have 10 jobs open or 50 jobs open, please know that if your job profession is not there, that doesn't mean that they are not looking. It just can mean that they didn't have time to write the job description, they didn't get the approval from the head office in America or something like that. So if you don't see a job on the board, that doesn't mean that recruiters are not looking for profiles like you, and vice versa. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't approach the company and offer them your skills, even if they don't have open jobs. In our hub, we have, let me show this to you. We have this thing. So when we talk about job application, we have step-by-step thing that you can do to get the job. But we also have LinkedIn connection requests, asking for referrals, so examples of the messages, asking for a job. So this is the real message that we got from one of our career consultants into my LinkedIn message. It was, Yelizaveta, many thanks for accepting my invitation. I came across EP Advisory a while ago and I've been following your work ever since. I was really impressed by your recent rebranding and the way you place people in the center of your brand, especially through your YouTube project. I'm on my path to becoming a career coach consultant and would love to connect. I bring 6 years of experience in talent function at McKinsey, which I would really like to leverage as part of EP Advisory. Would you be open to setting up a short intro call to explore if there is a space for our collaboration? Hope to hear from you. Mega short message, which shows me as a potential employer or a person Yelena approached is she knows about my company. She read about it. She kind of is into, she researched, or maybe she really followed us for quite a long time. She is straight away telling me what she wants from me. So she's telling me I'm on my path to become a career consultant. She's not a marketing manager who wants a job at EP Advisory. She's not a product manager who wants a job at EP Advisory. She's clearly telling me she wants to be a career consultant. And then she says, I bring, in one sentence, 6 years of experience at talent function in McKinsey that I would love to leverage as part of EP Advisory. Mega simple message. But this can land you a job, even if the job is not existing online. So please understand, if you're looking for a job, if you love some companies, you really follow them, you use their products, you want to work there, don't be shy to message them. Simple, straight to the point, very concise, short messages, and tell them what you want to do there and why you could be useful. You never know. It might not end in a job. It might end in the job, but it's a very effective way to job search. So not just cold applications, is actually approaching companies directly, and obviously referrals. Okay, then we're gonna go back to keywords. So if a recruiter is looking for someone online and they are inputting some words to find you, what are the keywords? It's the most used word. I think every marketing team of every CV design service that exists says that we're gonna beat the applicant tracking system by using the right keywords. What are the keywords? What does this word mean? Like, what are recruiters actually searching for? Which words do they use? It's very simple. Think of LinkedIn as Google. What do you input when you're looking for something? That is exactly the same that recruiters are inputting when they're looking for people. Tell me, what are the keywords? What are the examples of keywords you think recruiters are? Should I write posts, comments, etc. on LinkedIn? Is it a good way to attract the potential employer? If you're active on LinkedIn, it's very good. It kind of builds up your personal brand. It's not necessarily going to attract the employer. I will show you a different way how to do that, but you can build your personal brand and be known, and people will recommend your profile. Hard skills. Yes, so marketing or SEO or IFRS reporting, etc. Job title, exactly. Job title is the thing they're looking for. If they're looking for marketing manager, they will put their marketing manager. If they're looking for software engineer, they will put their software engineer as a keyword. So this is the job title. What else? What else an employer will be looking at? Do you see how it's never hardworking, organized, and all that stuff? It's never that, because it will never get you to the person you're looking for. Job title, tools, exactly. If I'm looking for someone who does something specific, it will be the tools they use. Role, company. Yes, a lot of companies are actually using companies where people work for as a search. It could be someone who works for Amazon. They want to headhunt them from there, or from a specific smaller company, Grammarly, or something like this. So, of course. So job titles, hard skills, qualifications, IT programs, languages, former, current employer, exactly like you said. Location, sometimes it could be a filter, but I would say it's really a keyword search. So having said that, if you're looking for a job in another country, I would actually say changing your current location to the desired location, because unfortunately you might get excluded if you are from the search results if you are if your location is not matching. Okay, then filters. This is an interesting thing. Okay, don't look at this slide just yet. So let's say I put in product manager, meta, with this and this skills, and I get loads of results. Just like in Google, I would get thousands of profiles on LinkedIn. And I filter them, let's say by location or anything. So I get thousands of pages of profiles of people. Obviously, I cannot look just like you never look on the 150th page of Google when you search for something. You probably want to concentrate on the first 10 pages of profiles. So every page has maybe, I think, 10 or 15 profiles, something like this. So how do you as a company try to filter those results? You will be filtering them. When you're searching for something, you're also using filters. I don't know, you're looking for shoes, you will put that they are black with a heel, made of this material from this brand, etc. Companies do the same when they're looking for people. And here is a very cool thing I want to tell you today. So when companies are using software that I talked about, there are very cool filters that they can use. And number one thing that they can use as a filter is whether you follow their company. So if you're applying for a job at Amazon and you don't follow Amazon on LinkedIn, as one of the first filters recruiters apply, you would be excluded. What that means for you, as soon as you apply for a specific job, especially if it's a larger company, go and follow their page, because this will help you be included in this special circle of people they will be considering. There's also, you see, function, company size, number of years of experience, etc. They also have what's called spotlight search. So imagine thousands of profiles, and then like with a torch, they want to spotlight exactly what they're looking for. So internal candidate, you can see they will use that. Open to work, so they will see whether you're open to work, whether you ticked the open to work thing on your LinkedIn, but please don't add the ribbon. You can, there are two options when you choose if you're open to work. One is to have a ribbon open to work, the green one, don't do it. And the second one is kind of only let recruiters the software know. Use this part, don't do the ribbon. Next one, are more likely to respond. Do you know what that means? That means that LinkedIn will analyze your activity and will see how often and how well you respond to someone's messages on LinkedIn. And this is tricky because some people don't reply to recruiters because it's annoying, because they get so many messages, they don't want to reply to recruiters. Or there's some salespeople that they got added or connected with, and they don't want to reply to them. And LinkedIn watches you. I don't know if you've seen, they've done a recent update when they send you an email saying, Konstantin sent you a message 3 days ago, reply. So they are actually tracking how much you and how fast and how you reply to people on LinkedIn, including recruiters. So please maintain the communication and make sure you actually write back, even if it's super short. Thank you very much, I'm not interested at this moment. It will already help you. Engaged with a talent brand. That is coming back to the question, shall I post on LinkedIn? If a company makes a post and then you under this post say, wow, what a great news, or great project, or thank you so much, or whatever your opinion is about that thing they posted, you will be added to engaged with talent brand, following them, commenting their posts, liking their posts, resharing their posts, anything will be automatically helping you be specially selected from those people. Next one is have company connections. if you're looking for a job at a specific company, it's a smaller company, you don't know it so well, try to add people that work there. You can ask for referrals. You can just build a network, because having company connections will straight away help you with landing a job there. So make sure with your target companies, you have followed them, liked their posts, commented on them, added people who work there. That is a lot of points that you're already going to tick. So this is simple thing, but you and respond obviously to the messages that anyone sends you on LinkedIn as fast as possible. I know it's silly, and I know you don't have to reply to every message that you get, but it builds your profile and the strength of your profile. So please don't forget that. Optimizing your profile. I think we are like mega late already, and I cannot believe that almost none of you dropped yet. After 1.5 hours, I'm really grateful for you to stay here. I'll try to go through the last two parts as fast as possible. So, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. There are several things that LinkedIn algorithm ranks when it comes to your profile, and LinkedIn will be helping you to do that. If you have unfinished profile is bad, LinkedIn doesn't like it, because it feels you haven't used their platform enough, and they're not gonna push your profile up there and support it in any way possible. So the minimum you can do is fill in the profile completely. Number one is your URL. In our platform, we have a very long list of steps you need to do to optimize your profile, with very big description, but very simply, make sure your URL is neat, just your name and your surname. Someone asked, why do I need to change my LinkedIn URL? Who cares about it? And I remember a brilliant comment under my LinkedIn post about it. Some person, a guy said, well, it's like white socks. Why do you need to change white socks if no one sees that they're dirty inside your shoes? So it's something similar. URL has to be clean, just like your white socks. Photo is very important too. So make sure that you have a professional photo, and it's just you on the photo. I am up for just a shoot on your phone in portrait mode or normal mode on a simple background, versus cutting yourself out from party photos and all that stuff. So please don't do that. Headline, very, very important part of your profile. So headline is something that comes next. So there is your name, the photo, and headline. I think I will even go to LinkedIn now and to actually show it to you what that means. Since I'm sharing now everything, let me go on LinkedIn. So why headline is important? Headline is something which I will see everywhere. Under an update will be the headline. That's the headline. When someone adds me onto LinkedIn, there will be their name, their photo, and their headline. If someone commented on my post or something, it will be their headline. If I am, let's say, I'm looking for a company I want to work for, doesn't matter, and I'm looking at people, and I want to check what kind of profiles they have, where they worked. Again, I will see their photo, their name, and the headline. When recruiter is looking for a person, and they're looking for product manager, they're clicking people, that would be the that will be 5 million results. Talking about filters, I have to filter them. I cannot walk through 5,000 results. So photo, name, headline, and then something else in the profile that says product manager. So your headline is mega important. You see how this headline differs from this, from this, from this. Make sure your headline tells the person who's looking at it exactly what you're doing and what are your skills. It can be just simple, your current job title, a company. It can be something with more product manager. Product managers can work for loads of different industry. So Maria added crypto blockchain, which is relevant to her experience. It can be X Facebook, X Meta, X Amazon if it's important and it's your keyword. So just make sure you use as much keywords as possible. I will come back now to the presentation and I will show you examples. So QA projects, quality standards and metrics, iOS, Android. Product marketing, go-to-market strategy, EdTech, MarTech. Marketing strategy, customer success and sales, FinTech, aviation consultant, education. It could be as simple as leading tech recruitment and Buzoo. You have 120 characters, so you can add a lot of keywords. Coming back to what are the keywords, your job titles, your hard skills, the companies you worked for, perhaps your qualifications, your industry specification, etc. Always make sure you have the headline nice and neat. Then it's a featured section. Guys, do you have featured section? Who doesn't have the featured section on their LinkedIn profile? It's quite new, but I would say it's quite long time ago there already. Nadine, there will be a recording after the session. We'll send it by email. I just get not sure. You will see it, so it's on your profile. You will see if you have if you have featured. If not, that means you don't have it. If you don't have it, you need to go to the top of your profile where it says add profile section. It's a blue button, and then you will add their recommended, necessary, recommended, or something like this. I'll tell you exactly how it's called now. So you go into your profile, press add profile section. Then you have core and recommended. You open recommended, so the second drop-down menu, and then you press add featured. Featured, it's a very visual part where you can highlight your anything that you do in your work, anything, your posts that you post, something that's important to you, any announcements, maybe articles about you, videos about you, anything. It's just a very visual new part, and I wanted to highlight that if you don't have it, please add it, because a lot of people are checking it. It's even before your activity or anything, so it's very important, big part of your profile, and you can see you can add a post, an article, a link, a media, anything. You can even add your CV there. About section is very similar to your profile section in your CV. So usually you write a little bit about yourself. You need to have about section to be able to complete the profile. So please add about section to your profile so that LinkedIn loves your profile and supports you in your adventure on LinkedIn. So think about you as a professional, where you worked, etc., etc. So try to add as many sections as possible. Don't forget about. Previously, it was known as summary, this section. Skills and endorsements. A lot of people know really nothing about skills and endorsements, and a lot of people neglect this part, but it's actually a very important part, both algorithm-wise and your profile and job application-wise. So in skills, you have 50 skills you can add. Those shouldn't be random skills. Those should be skills that LinkedIn offers you. So when you try to fill in this section, LinkedIn, based on the information you've provided, so the more information you have in the about section, experience section, education, headline, the more suggestions LinkedIn will give you. Try to add as many skills as possible, and you will see, I will show you now, that whenever a company publishes a job on LinkedIn, so it's actually a job that is published on LinkedIn, they usually list core skills that are required for this job. So let me quickly switch. Sorry, I hope it's not super annoying that I'm switching between the things, but I just want to be as practical as possible. So I put product manager Germany. First job that came in. So here's a job description. If you have premium only, unfortunately, it is a little bit annoying, but with premium, you can get 30 days free. I would encourage you to do that. And then you see there are the skills. So these are the skills that employer listed as essential for this job. And I only have 2 out of those 10 skills. So I'm not suitable for this job. Or I need to go back to my profile and add product management, English, marketing, Microsoft Word, I don't know why, project management, Scrum, business strategy. So I need to do my research, coming back to the very first slide, and actually find out what are the top 50 skills that employers are looking for my industry on LinkedIn, so that I can add them and they are relevant. They're not just some random skills that I think are suitable, while actually maybe market research is not there or engineering is not there, etc. So please do your research and add those skills, that they would be very important. Then you have endorsements, and a lot of people say, you know what, endorsements are useless, you don't need them, but you actually do. And you don't just you need to get endorsements, you need to get very specific endorsements. And those are from LinkedIn loves endorsements, and that's how so when they introduced skills, I think 5 years ago or so, they didn't know how to make those skills valid. So for example, you've added 50 skills, completely random, you are not skilled in those things, and LinkedIn didn't know how they can prove in a way or test if you are good at those skills or not. And the first thing they did was endorsement. So they added social part to it. They said, you know what, if someone endorses me for a specific skill, endorses a person, then they are good at it. But they went then a little bit further. And the best kind of endorsement you can get is from someone who is highly skilled at this. So a person has to be your connection, and they already need to have at least 99 endorsements for this specific skill. If you can get this endorsement, that is the best thing you can do. So try to get endorsements, but also not just from your friends and just colleagues. Try to ask people for endorsements who actually are skilled in the skills that you do. Or you can do skills assessments. That also works. Absolutely not a problem, because a lot of companies now ask for it anyway. Last stage, and I'm done. Interview. What I find, and I will reply about salary as well. I will definitely reply in the interview section how to talk about salary, so bear with me. One thing that happened during the pandemic is obviously the way companies started interviewing changed. And I'm sure you are aware that a lot of interviews are now remote, but there was a research in 20 countries when they said, is your process fully remote when it comes to interview process or not? And you see that 79% said it is. What that means for you, most of our clients who relocate do the complete interview process completely online. They never actually meet a person offline. So that means that you can get a job sitting in your country now, in a different country, do 5 stages of interviews, and all with a computer. You don't even have to fly, so companies don't even fly you in anymore. They straight away, you pass interviews, they give you job offer, then you go do the visa, and only then you actually go and meet the team. We have the latest podcast was with Victorina. She moved to Berlin, worked to work in a startup. That's how it was with her. She did the whole interview process online, lots of different stages, case study, assessments. They also had what's called cultural fit interview. A very unusual thing is like when a panel of 10 team members you're going to work with sit there over the screen and ask you weird questions about your hobbies, etc., just to know if you actually fit with them well or not. So just make sure that you are fully prepared to do a full interview process online, which means you have a good camera, you have good background, you have light maybe, and you are comfortable speaking with a computer, because it's a little bit different versus actually doing it in face-to-face. And for you, I think it's quite difficult as well, because we have fully remote team, and we've been doing it for 5 years now, and it's an interesting thing, because sometimes you can work with someone for 2 years remotely, and then you meet them in person, and your expectations versus reality is completely different. It could be a very good thing, could be not so good thing. So for you as well, when you're interviewing, try to get as much as possible also in terms of your fit, how the company fits to you, to your values through the screen, because it's always harder. And just prepare for it. And I think the worst type of interview, I don't know if you've ever had that, but we do, our clients did, is when they send you a link, you open it, and you have a time clock, like you have 1 minute to reply to one question. Tick, tick, 59, 58, 57, and you're like, and there's not even a person there. Like, you have to speak with someone. You feel like you want to answer questions, but there's just a computer with a ticking clock, and it's very difficult to answer those questions. So be prepared for any type of virtual interviews, because that's important in the current world, especially amid the pandemic. So you have intro interview with the recruiter, like I said, on the phone. We have biography-oriented interview. You have competency-based interview. You can have technical interview, mixed interview, cultural fit. You can have case studies, assignments, and all that stuff. Two most popular types of interviews are biography and competency-based. Biography is usually when they ask you an open-end question. So tell me about yourself. What are you currently working on? AKA, what are your weaknesses? Etc. So it's just to get a general idea about you. Competency-based questions is when they ask you a very specific thing to assess a very specific behavior. And they usually ask the same question to all the applicants so that they can compare. And an interesting thing about competency-based questions is how you will recognize them. They start with, give me an example of when you did this. Tell me about the time when you did this, or didn't do this, or dealt with this, or etc. So you will know the question by just hearing it, because it will be, give me an example, tell about the time, etc. And then you will have to give them a specific example. And I'm sure you've heard about STAR technique, but I just want to give you one small illustration. So to succeed at an interview in a company abroad, in an international company, you must prepare for competency-based questions. You must know that your company will be asking you those questions. They are not usual questions. They can really make you like, oh, tell us about the time when you dealt with a difficult client. You're like, oh, I don't know. So you have to actually understand that you have to get ready for those questions. You have to have answers ready. And the best way for you to prepare for those questions, and you can find in our hub, I think we give you 50 plus examples of those kind of questions. So you have plenty of questions to prepare for. You need to understand why the company is doing that. So when they ask you a competency-based question, is they want to assess the term for you personally, and they want to see the behavioral pattern for you. So what that means, tell us about the time when you dealt with a difficult client. A question. Sounds simple, sounds straightforward, but for one person, a difficult client is someone who doesn't pay after they started working for you. For another person, a difficult client is someone who screams at them. For another person, a difficult client is someone who disagrees with them. For another person, a difficult client is someone who is very demanding. So this way, they will want to assess what is difficult client for you, and they will then measure it according to their perception of difficult client. Leadership, a problem, when you had to persuade someone, anything that is a term, they want to assess what it is. How do you personally define it? Because everyone is different. And then what do you usually do in this kind of situation? So a difficult client, what did you do? Did you go and tell your boss? Did you fire? Did you fire the client? Did you actually persuade him and made him your best friend? Like, what was your behavior? Because for every person will be different, and the company will actually want to see, oh, you know what? Actually, it's similar to what we are looking for. And when giving the example to with STAR technique, I think the best way to remember how to do it is always keep in mind that you have to create a small movie, a little tiny film for the person who hears you. What I mean, tell us about the time when you dealt with a difficult client. So when I was working at ABC company, it was a marketing agency, and one of our clients was this FMCG brand. So it was 2020. I just started in this role. Do you see when I explain this to you with details? Do you see how you straight away start imagining it in your head? And this what you need to be doing, so that whenever you give an answer to a competency-based question, the other side should have a little film in their head. Oh, that was in 2020, you just started, that's what you were doing, that's what the client was. Set the scene, situation. We were required to do this in this presentation on their new product. I was personally responsible for this and this and this and this. Okay, you described the task, the purpose. Then what you did. We started doing the presentation, and straight away the client started to disagree with everything we were saying right in the middle of it. Then what happened in the end? In the end, we did this and this and this. We actually convinced him, and we are so happy because the result was this and this many views and that many products sold, etc. So you have this. I actually just imagined now a boardroom where you are presenting this presentation to a client. He's disagreeing to you, etc. So this is really, really important way of actually expressing your achievements and experiences and projects in a frame of competency-based questions. So please keep that in mind. Last thing, before any interview, you have to prepare. You have to prepare answers to the questions. You have to research your interviewers and research the companies to understand if you actually want to work there, if they're a good team. I'm going to tell you a fun thing. I read the other day on LinkedIn, some of my connections. A girl posted, "Oh, I just been through 7 stages of interviews at the company, and I met my hiring manager 3 times, and all these 3 times he was telling me that he's the best. It's the best company, the best team, and I'm so excited I just received a job offer." And simultaneously on LinkedIn, I've seen that this hiring manager just started a new job. How misleading. Number 1, always add your hiring manager on LinkedIn. That's your takeaway home. Take home thing that you can do. Number 2, like these things happen, so a person can tell you all the great things, but actually when you check LinkedIn profiles of people, they change jobs there every 5 minutes. So make sure you do that. Another thing, a small thing about the interview is listen to a question. If a person asks you, give me 3 your most notable achievements, don't give them 5, don't give them 7, give them 3. Mega important. If they tell you, describe yourself in 3 words, describe yourself in 3 words and do it concisely. Don't talk for 5 minutes about it. 5 minutes answers max is very important. So don't go over the top with all the things you want to talk about. Try to come back to the question. Silence is okay. So if you don't know the answer to a question, it's better to say, let me think about it, or say, I don't know, than to make it up. I have seen founders and CEOs in companies where they like to challenge people during interviews, asking completely out of the blue, extremely difficult questions they don't know the answers themselves, just to see if a person has guts to say, well, actually, I don't know, because this is the answer they want, and they don't want someone to come up with a beautiful answer for things they actually don't understand themselves. So silence is okay, thinking is okay, saying I don't know is okay, but don't say I don't know to every question. So probably in your interview process, you might have 2-3 times when this happens, but it's okay too. So just keep that in mind. This I think is not so important. Last thing I want to tell you, and I will reply about salary negotiations, is people make things happen. Is the most important thing I want you to go home with today. That goes across the whole board. That goes during your interview process, in your communication on LinkedIn, when you're looking for a job and asking for referrals, when you're networking. Make sure you stay professional with every person who interacts with you, because you never know where the next job is going to come. It can come from completely unexpected place. You might do an interview with a person, they might love you, but you didn't get the job and they will offer it to someone else. But because you were professional, because you wrote a thank you letter, because you seemed very good candidate in the process, this person who interviewed you can change a job and invite you because they remembered you in another company, into another company. So staying professional, staying polite, knowing the game is very important, because it will lead you to a job very unexpectedly. Replying to messages on LinkedIn, even if you don't need a job, is a good thing. It will help you get a job in every way possible. Maybe the same recruiter who messaged you now will be very good for you to connect with in 5 years when you're looking for a job. So make sure you're human, make sure you're professional, make sure you understand it's not robots, it's not technology, it's the people that will help you get a job. And you need to know that you need to build those connections. Okay, now very quickly about EP. We have a lot of free content, as you can see already here. We've been sending you a lot of articles and everything. We do a lot of things. We want to help as many people as we can. We have 2 YouTube channels, Career Without Borders and Stories of Relocation. So we want expats to move between countries, explore their opportunities, realize their potential, and find where they truly belong. That's our headline, because we think maybe where you are now, you're not comfortable, but there will be a spot where you will be comfortable. So use our resources. We have Instagram, Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Follow us, find the platform where you, which one you prefer, and how the content that works for you. We have 16 consultants in different industries, like I said, countries, specialization, legal, IT, marketing, and we have thousands of clients who these people help to find new jobs. So we'll be happy to work with you. You have a 10% discount on all of our services, including the hub, which you can find in our bar in the services section. It is valid for 7 days, so you can use it. It's webinar 2211. We will send it to you by email too. So feel free to use it. And now the question time. So let's start with a question. How to respond to a salary question on the first interview? If your recruiter is asking, how much do you want to be paid? So usually they will ask you, recruiters are even more nasty in this regard. They will ask you, how much are you currently making? They're not going to even ask you how much do you want to make. They will ask you how much you're currently making. And here, the game is whoever says the number first loses. So try not to say any number for as long as you can. Sorry. So you can say, what is the budget for the role? You can say, as far as I know, the benchmark for this kind of role is this and this and this. If they pressure you, sorry, I'm actually amazed. I'm actually amazed. I did 2 hours without coughing because I had the worst cough last 2 days. So I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna have a little tablet in my mouth to help me. So when the person is when the person is asking you and they're asking you how much you're currently making, do it like this. Put your basic salary, quantify every benefit that you have, insurance, car, gym, anything you have already, quantify it. Put a price to it. Put it all together and put 30% on top and tell them this number. Never say your current salary. Put everything on top, put 30%, and then you have the room to negotiate. This is the best way to talk about the salary. So if they offer you a job already, for example, with a salary that you're not happy with, or with a benefits package that you're not happy with, then you actually can have, there's a template in our hub where you can say, look, this I'm happy with, this I'm not happy with, I propose this and this and this. So don't worry talking about it. The okay increase is also about 30% from what they're offering you. So see in these brackets, but try not to answer if they're pressurizing you. Say the maximum you earn with 30% on top. Yeah, so but you can also talk about their budget. You can say, what is your budget for the role? They can say, oh, it varies based on the candidate, blah blah blah. You can say, well, I would like to know what's the benchmark for this role. Every company has its budget, so I would be open to consider. If another phrase you can use is say, I'm considering offers starting from. So let's say you put this salary, all your benefits, 30% on top. That's your minimum. Let's say it's 75K. Even though you would consider maybe 70K, you can say, I'm accepting offers from 75K onwards. So something like this. I've heard people say, I'm looking for a job with a salary between 35 and 40, for example. And you, I always ask them then, and what if we offer you 42? Will you not accept it? So never say from to, always say just from, because you never know how much they're going to offer you. But do the research. There is salary on Glassdoor. You can see the salaries to see at least a little bit in terms of the salary for your role. Changing careers, how to apply if you have little or no experience in the new area. You will need to think of the skills and responsibilities that you did in your old career that would be suitable for the new career, and try to highlight it as much as possible. So you can do transition through transferable skills, you can do transition through education, or you can start from zero and actually go through internship up. That also works. How and when to mention you need visa sponsorship? I would say second or third interview, not to waste your time as well. So if you don't tell them anything about visa sponsorship until the very last interview, and they say, oh, we cannot sponsor you, you've wasted a lot of time. So I would say somewhere around second interview. So if you pass the short interview with a recruiter and they invited you further, you can talk about it. You can wait a little bit more so that they're more interested in you, because if they invite you for another stage, let's say you pass first 2 stages, they invite you for a third stage, that means they are interested in you. So on the second stage, they might not be interested in you yet. So I would say the ideal is kind of the third stage, if there are more stages. But you can do it whenever you feel comfortable, to be honest. Okay, so another question. How do I call standard Russian education of 5 years? Bachelor? Do I need to translate the diploma right away? Also English list? Do I need to have a certification before applying? You don't need a certification before applying. Moreover, English is sufficient. You don't need to prove it for certain visas. You don't even need any language tests. So it can be just English, how you speak. In Germany, in Netherlands, in Scandinavia, in a lot of Western countries, you don't need a local language. I forgot to say about that. So you can move to Berlin without knowing any German. You can move to Amsterdam without knowing any Dutch. So don't be put off going to Europe, because sometimes it's a little bit easier to come to Europe and then move to London if London is your end goal, just because of the language. A lot of companies are using their English as corporate language, and there is no problem with that at all. Your 5-year education is called specialist diploma. We call it like this. There are certain countries that accept 5-year specialist diploma as a bachelor, and there are countries that don't accept it as a bachelor and master, sorry. So I would say the safest option, if you don't want to call it specialist degree, is to actually say bachelor, but just put in brackets 5 years, so that at least you have very clear, so they have clear understanding. It wasn't just 3 years bachelor, it was actually 5 years bachelor. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. How many stages of interviews do employers do in the UK? I would say an average is 3 to 4, but sometimes can be 7. It depends if you have tasks. It depends if you have cultural fit interviews. It depends how many interviews you're going to have with the hiring manager, the team, etc. So I would say aim for 3. That's the standard minimum, but it could be more. Is there a rule like don't apply for a position which is 1 and 2 weeks old? No, because there are so many little details that you don't know. For example, lifespan of a vacancy on LinkedIn or Indeed or Reed could be 30 days, and the company didn't find anyone. So you might not apply for it because you see already 30 days, but they can repost it again the next day, and it will be a completely fresh vacancy, but they've already been advertising for 4 weeks. So apply anytime. No matter how old the vacancy, no matter how many applications, if you think you're suitable, please apply for the job. At this moment, which people with Russian citizenship have trouble searching their jobs, even living outside of Russia. How can you recommend in such cases? I do not believe that nationality should be the reason for hiring anyone. And thanks God, we see a lot of job offers. We see a lot of visas. Our clients get global talent visas, which are really hard to get with Russian passports. So obviously, war has an impact on how Russian citizens are viewed, but a lot of companies and a lot of countries understand that you are talented, driven, intelligent professionals. And I would say behind the closed doors, a lot of companies and countries actually take advantage of it, because it is a brain drain. A lot of people leave. A lot of people are looking for, many people are looking for a lot of opportunities. So you can definitely face some discrimination at this moment, yes, but majority of people that we work with receive job offers, receive visas, and they have no problem whatsoever. So please don't be discouraged by everything you see in the news, because it's not right. It's not true. Yelizaveta, if I was the head of a legal department and 17 years experience in Russia, and here after my MBA changed career to sales, should I go to entry level or maybe delete all Russian experience? Ooh, Anna, interesting, very interesting experience. I would go into sales in legal field to be not to a junior position. So I would try to at least somehow utilize your legal experience, because otherwise starting as a sales in tech, an FMCG company, or not even tech, makes no sense. So I would say try to find a job, at least for the first couple of years, where you can do sales leveraging your knowledge you have about legal. So working for a law firm, working for legal tech, maybe you can be a sales manager for a legal tech startup because you know how this and this works and the legal field and how they, I'm not sure exactly what you did. So I wouldn't go with so many years of experience. I wouldn't start from zero unless it's something completely different, because I'm sure you can find sales and legal intersection. The thing is, you cannot delete all of your experience. So if you have a big gap, and sometimes recruiters would look at the date where you graduated all the way to your career. So if there's a big gap, 17 years is a very big gap. I wouldn't advise to delete it, but you can explain maybe your career change and why that happened. You can actually put there in your experience career change. So so I think it would be cool to find something in the intersection and then progress from there. What if my current job level doesn't differ responsibilities from the previous one? Working for the same company for almost 8 years. How to write this in the correct way? Marina, here I would say I would try to look for progress within the company. So even if formally in your contract you don't have a change of job title and responsibility, I would actually try to think of how maybe your role changed, and then put a company like a big dates covering the 8-year period, and then under divided into two responsibilities or something like this. Because I think in 8 years, there's no way you're doing the exact same thing for 8 years. I'm sure something changed. So I would say use this as kind of differentiation point, because 8 years is a long time in the same role for sure. So you would need to show something. What do you say about easy apply versus apply at LinkedIn? Easy apply is easy. Apply is more efficient. If you easy apply with the same CV, just by clicking two buttons, you are losing the chances of being selected simply because you don't pass the initial screening. Apply is better, but easy apply is good for companies because then you get into their internal CRM system and it's better. So I think the ideal case, I would say, is easy apply with a different CV all the time. So because you can re-upload the CV there anytime. So as soon as you press easy apply, the next step is, do you want to use the CV already preloaded or you want to use the new one? Use the new CV all the time with easy apply. That's the best. If not, then just do apply. How do I create a to-do role description in my CV if I'm a lawyer and all my projects fall under NDA? The description in this case turned out to be very blurry. Nadine, yes, that happens as well, unfortunately, with NDA. But you can use more general terms when it comes to what you did. So you don't have to say the company name, the budgets. You can talk about the details of the project and your specific responsibilities. So if you created a special agreement that resulted in something insubstantial, you can put percentage always, not the number. Let's say, you saved a company £1 million pounds or euros, and they are not letting you say that, but you can say that whatever 10% budget cut or something like this. So try to talk about your job and try to give at least a blurry idea of who the client was without giving away too many details, and think of percentages and changes and increases, not like money wise, but but I also understand that if under NDA you cannot say anything. It depends on your NDA, of course. It could be difficult, but try to find a general thing. Let's say you've worked as a lawyer with 5 different companies and you were doing shareholder agreements. You were trying to helping them to open companies in multiple jurisdictions, or I don't know, just making things up. These are the general things. Despite the NDA, these were your kind of day-to-day responsibilities. So those you can draw from, I think. I think this will be very cool. Does the UK university brand play an important role in getting better positions if you already have 10 years of work experience? Honestly, no, it doesn't. Of course, it's better if you graduate from UCL or King's College or something like this. But we did our statistics. It was quite, I think, 2 years ago. We analyzed from which university um, Russian students got the most job offers after graduation, and believe it or not, it was Westminster, because they were not entitled. They didn't think if they finished Oxford, the job offers will fly into their hands. They were hardworking, and they were very hard trying to get the jobs, get experience, etc. So I would say, again, your experience wins over UK university brand if your experience is relevant. So this is number one thing. Do I need to send recommendation letters, or will they contact with the previous employers themselves? I will connect with employers who provide anyone from my CV. Yeah, so the game changed in the past. I would say 10 years ago, you would kind of attach the reference letters already written, but it's not the case anymore. There's a lot of reference companies. What happens is you give them the email addresses and the phone numbers of your referees, and then those companies, so outsourced companies who are dealing with reference checks, they will reach out to those companies, or your company internally will do it. Some prefer to do it via email, some prefer to do it via phone, so it will be up to them. They actually don't like the written reference letters. I think the only place where it will be useful is Germany, because they're a little bit more, I would say, traditional in this way, and you send them like a folder with printed documents. But apart from that, I would say you don't need those reference letters anymore. Do you provide additional discount for students? Also, I'm now an MA student. Do you help with finding an internship or further permanent work, or will one of those two be included in the package? Okay, I can see Luma is replying. Of course, we work with students, we work with internships and further permanent work. We have clients who actually came to us on the second year of their bachelor. Then they worked with us. They were working with Ksenia Goncharova and Andrei. They found internships in between their bachelor. Then they got masters with our help, and then they got a graduate job after they graduated from masters. So we actually have clients who are with us for 3 years, and they are like students, and they are finding internships, spring weeks and all that stuff, and corporates, and then they get employed into graduate scheme or full-time entry-level position upon graduation. So yeah, definitely. Additional discounts, we have this discount 10% off as a special thing. Yeah, so I hope Luma replied the same. Is it worth going to volunteer if you have experience only in Ukrainian companies and have been without work for 4 months? Lena, 4 months is not a long time to be without work. I would say an acceptable length of time, 1 year. So don't worry at all. And if you only worked in Ukrainian companies, you can start applying for remote work for international companies. Look for companies online who are hiring. I'm sure we have a big guide for Ukrainians looking for a job with loads of resources where you can find a place, companies that are hiring specifically Ukrainian people, if you are Ukrainian. But even if not, you can look for a remote work for international companies. 4 months is not a long time. And I would say volunteer, you can always do parallel if you want to, but I think even just with Ukrainian company, if you are in demand, let's say if you are an event manager in Ukrainian company locally, you will have problems. But then you can still find companies remotely to do something else, something new, and you could do you can be an intern. It's just in Europe and the UK, intern and volunteer are two different things. So volunteer is usually someone who works for non-profit organization and who dedicates the time for free to something, to a cause. And an intern is someone who's just in the beginning of their career, and then do an internship, sometimes paid, sometimes unpaid. So I would say it's better to do internship than volunteering experience. I want to clarify about reference letters. In my CV, I indicated that I received written recommendations from 4 people and indicated their position. So it's better to just indicate contact details. Olga, it's better to remove those things at all, because it's actually GDPR thing. If you include the email addresses and contact details of people, and then your CV ends up somewhere, God knows where, you can be in trouble. So I would say remove those details. No one needs this on the CV. Literally, no one needs the contact details of people on the CV. If you will get a job offer, they will reach out to you and ask you for those contact details. So no letters to be sent to anyone, and no contact details or names of the people inside of your CV. Okay, so Luma, do you want me to go from the bottom? Remote jobs in international companies also require several months of getting an offer, or is it much simpler process? It depends, Alina, on how their process is set up. So if they are not, if the interview process is fast for remote work because they're a little bit less critical, then it could be faster. Yes, I would say generally remote work is easier to get than permanent job offer with visa support and relocation. What would you say about Qatar? Dubai is new work destination for finance young professional. Don't want to stay in Germany long because of high taxes, mentality, slow career progress, German language. Whatever rocks your boat, I think you can do a brilliant career in Dubai if that's what you want. In Qatar as well, there's a lot of projects too. So if that's the culture you're comfortable with, and you feel good, I think it's really rapidly growing. It has a lot of opportunities. Come on, it has no income tax. I think as a young professional, it's a paradise to work in if you find something that is really resonating with you in terms of the role and the company. Of course, be careful. I wouldn't just go there just to work there. I would say if you've already built a career in Germany, then you can think about cool companies that you want to work for in Dubai and Qatar. I don't see any problem there whatsoever. Do I have to have a high degree to get a work visa? In the UK, so it depends. If you're talking about the UK, if you're on shortage occupation, you don't need to. If you're not on shortage occupation, you need to. For blue card in Europe, you need to have higher education, but for skilled worker, no, for skilled worker equivalent in, for example, Germany, you also need higher education. But there was one type, global talent visa, you don't need higher education, is not a requirement. So you have completely different set of requirements. So yeah. If I have job search visa in Germany, does it make it easier at all for employers or for me? Job search visa allows you to be present here in Germany and actually be available for interviews and all that stuff, and available to start sooner. So I would say it makes it easier, but considering a lot of companies, so I say like this: Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, I think, as well in Germany, are very traditional cities. There, they would probably require you to be face-to-face interviewing with them and all that stuff. It would be difficult for you to get a job without the job search visa. Berlin can get a remote interview process, get a job offer, and relocate. So it depends which industries you're looking for, because Frankfurt is banking, finance, it's heavy automotive and all that stuff. So if you're more into this direction, then it's better to have job search visa. If you're looking for a job more in startups, in growing companies, and in Berlin, then you don't need to. You can do the whole process virtually. Could you provide information about an internship in the UK or America as a student studying in Europe with a residential visa? How do you think it will be easier to get a visa for these countries? If you're studying in Europe, the easiest way for you is to get an internship in the country where you're studying, because most European countries provide you with visa support after graduation. So don't lose this chance. If you are studying in Europe, get a job in the country where you're studying at least for a year, and after that you can get and apply for visa in the UK and America, because you have no exemptions after Brexit in the UK if you have a resident card in Europe. Unfortunately, even before Brexit, you could have worked in the UK without restrictions with a passport, European passport, but resident card does nothing at all in the UK and America. So get the job where you're studying in the country and then move. Do you have plans to cover USA and Canada for consulting? If not, from whom of your network would you recommend to follow already now? We are planning. We actually had a person in Canada that went through a vigorous training process, but unfortunately he moved from Canada to the UK, and his job was extremely demanding, and he just couldn't fit in career consulting on top of it. He a little bit underestimated the speed of work in the UK versus Canada. So we are back to nothing, and we are looking again in the USA and Canada. I know in the USA there's a lady, something with office on Instagram. I think she's quite good in America, but it's just like a singular, your office or something like this. But it's just a singular blogger. In terms of the company itself, I mean, obviously there is the Muse, that is a large coaching platform that could work, but it's not exactly, I think, what you are looking for. But yeah, so I would go for kind of singular bloggers or the Muse, just to see if you find something good there. If I seem overqualified for a position with my experience, is it a good idea to explain why I'm applying there in the about section of the CV? Yeah, absolutely. Overqualified is a very tricky thing. We have an article actually about it, because I would say my recommendation would be, if you feel you are applying for a job that is lower compared to your experience, I would actually lower down your responsibilities and your job title. So if you're a director and you feel like you are happy to work as a manager, then make yourself a manager. Unfortunately, it sucks a little bit, but that's how it works, because they will always see director, let's say, and they will always be not amused, and they will not let you go through. So you can explain it in the about section. Not everyone reads this section deeply. You can add it into cover letter, you can add it in the message if you're applying, but overall I would say you can definitely kind of cool down your CV a little bit. It might help quite a lot. Okay, I think I'm through. Overqualified, yes, we have the article, so you can read about it, how you can a little bit adopt your CV. Guys, 2 hours 21 minutes, like, I mean, you are great. You're great that you're still here. Are there salary requirements to get work visa, let's say in Poland? Yes, I personally don't know them, because our consultant for Poland is Lena Lvova. You can actually book a 15-minute consultation with her, but usually there are salary requirements. So I would say UK is a bit lower than Europe. So for blue card, you have like 57,000 euros. For a skilled worker in the UK, you have 25,600. And yeah, depends on the country. So check the country. Usually for work visas, you need to have a certain level of salary. What can you recommend to students abroad who don't have experience yet? Get experience, get internships, get anything that you can to get an experience, because it's extremely if there are two CVs of two graduates, one with the most perfect grades, the most perfect university, but zero work experience, versus another one with okay university, quite good grades, but 1 year of experience part-time or internships, the CV with experience and internships will always win. So there's no doubt about it. Always make sure you have experience. So get internships, part-time work, go work somewhere. In my time, it was a shoe assistant in a retail shop. In your times now, you can be anyone you want. You can get an internship, you can do shadowing, you can work part-time, you can do lots of different things remotely as well. You can even do people per hour or anything to create projects. So yeah. Is cover letter that much needed? Does anyone even read it? Alina, good question. We discussed that with our career consultants, and we seem to have a different opinion about it. I would say depends on the industry. Marketing, tech startups, IT generally, no. More traditional consulting, banking, accounting, legal, yes. You would usually see whether it's needed or not in the description. So in the job description, they would say apply with your CV and cover letter there, or they would say just apply with a CV, which is enough. So you don't have to send a cover letter if you don't want to, if it's not stated. But it's nice to have it. Let's put it this way, because it will make you stand out for sure if you do it well. Oops. Have I tried Xing? Of course, I've tried. I'm there. I'm going there very rarely. It's a German alternative to LinkedIn. But I think Xing. I am very much. Okay. I thought Almas asked me about Xing. Okay, so Xing is an alternative to LinkedIn, but I would say a lot of German companies are using LinkedIn now as well, but Xing too. So Xing is a very good thing. Okay. Why are recruiters in Germany so hard to connect with? They don't really use LinkedIn, don't reply anywhere. How to do networking in German? LinkedIn people are also not so willing to meet for coffee. Almost because every recruiter is the same in the UK is the same, because recruiters get a lot of messages. So try connecting not with recruiters, but with other people in the team. Hiring managers, your potential bosses, CEOs and founders. Meeting for coffee is a very weird request. You could see in the hub the message that I showed you when you approach people for jobs. Meeting for coffee, I need to know what's the exchange, what's the value, why do I meet with you for coffee? So you either very blandly ask me for specific advice and invite me to buy me a coffee and I say yes or no, or you ask for a job, you say what you can bring, and then let me decide if it's interesting for me or not. So I think it's just the at this moment, with pandemics, with generally stressful times and people not wanting to meet other people, I think it's normal that they don't want to meet for coffee, not just for Germans but for any other nationality. So make more strategic, pinpointed requests, and maybe you will get more response from it. Thank you everyone for your kind words. Really, really happy to know that it was useful and brilliant. That is, I'm very flattered. Thank you. What about referrals? Referrals is the greatest way to get into a big company. You have to use it every single time. If you find a job in a big company, before you make an application, try to find on LinkedIn a referral contact. In our hub, we have also examples of messages to when you're asking for a referral. And you can actually get a really brilliant response, because, as I said, in referral programs, companies are paying their employees money if they get someone referred. Why? Because referrals is the most efficient way to attract new talent, because it's from people they already hired, which means they are culturally fit, values fit, personality fit, and all that stuff. So if they recommend someone else from their circle, it's great. So I think it's very good structure and very good point for you to use. In our hub, we recommend actually 50% of your time to spend on referrals, because that's really the most efficient way. Referred candidates are always considered and assessed in the first cycle of evaluations. So if you are there, it's super good. So always make sure you do that. What other websites besides LinkedIn would you recommend for UK where startups post their job? You know what? I'm not going to actually be saying that. I'm going to be showing you that. What we have in our hub. So in our hub, we put a list of jobs, job boards that are for specific country and for industry. So you see, these are kind of different jobs. We put the countries that they are applicable to. Then you can do, for example, for tech jobs only, you will have a list. You can do by country, depending on which job board is available and where, etc. So yeah, in our hub we have a lot. I would say OTA is quite good at this moment. Angel List is more for the UK, but it also works. There's a lot of them actually at the moment expanding in terms of boards for startups. You can check lots of different ones. If you're in tech, it's even more, to be honest, than anywhere else. Let me come back here. I bought your LinkedIn course last year and I liked it. Will I have a discount for career platform minus the price of LinkedIn course? I must tell you the information in LinkedIn course. That's why we stopped selling it. It's obviously you bought it a year ago. So many things changed. So our hub consists of so much information. You have templates for cover letter, templates for CV, you have templates for all the messages, for all the emails, you have loads of examples, you have resources, you have tracker, you have so many things that it's not even compatible to LinkedIn course in any way. So we are happy to give you 10% discount. But that's the as much as we can give. As a very active webinar participant, we actually really like someone active, but I'm afraid 10% is the maximum that we can go at this moment. Why do you not make access to career platform last long? We're actually thinking about it, as believe it or not, because I think it would be very useful. Now it's the end of the year. Does it make sense to apply for positions now or wait until January? Apply now, because if the job is advertised and they're looking for people, they will be looking for them until the very end. Of course, no one is going to be interviewing you on 23rd and 24th, but people actually are desperately in the need of employees and new talents. So don't waste the time. Doesn't matter which date it is, doesn't matter how many applications, doesn't matter how old the vacancy is. If you are suitable for the job, please make sure. Okay, 2.5 hours, a long webinar. Thank you very much. It was really great to talk to you and answer all of your questions. You're a really great crowd. I hope my coughing didn't put you off, but with the tablet it gets much better very fast. I really had a great time. I really love talking to people who are in it, who are active, who want to do things, who already changed their LinkedIn profile, which is great. And best of luck in your job search. Hopefully see you soon in our community amongst our clients, and best of luck to you guys ending the stream. If anything, do let us know. Bye.